The front door opened around 11:30. I heard her heels on the hardwood floor, then her voice calling out like she owned not just the house, but my entire existence. "We need to talk." I was in the living room, book in hand, trying to finish a chapter I'd started 3 times already. She walked in with that expression, the one where she'd already decided how this conversation would go, and my job was just to nod along. "My friends and I were talking tonight," she began, settling into the chair across from me. Not next to me, across, like a job interview. "And we all agree, you need to step up. You've been coasting, and honestly, it's embarrassing." I closed the book, marked the page. Coasting. Yes, coasting. You work your 40 hours, come home, and that's it. Where's the ambition? Where's the drive? Linda's husband just made partner at his firm. Quinn's boyfriend is launching his own business. And you? You're just comfortable. I pay half the rent. I handle my responsibilities. That's the bare minimum. She leaned forward, hands clasped like she was about to deliver a sermon. "I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for effort. My friends say I should leave you, but I'm better than that. I'll give you one more chance to correct yourself." The words hung there. One more chance. Like I was a teenager who'd missed curfew. "How generous," I said. She didn't catch the tone. Or maybe she did and chose to ignore it. "I'm going back out. They're waiting at Ruth's place for dessert and drinks. When I get home, we'll discuss what improvements you're going to make. I'm talking genuine changes. Your work ethic, your social presence, your overall contribution to this relationship." She stood up, smoothed her dress, and headed for the door. Then she paused, turning back with what I'm sure she thought was an encouraging smile. "I believe in you. I wouldn't waste my time if I didn't." The door closed. Her car started. Taillights disappeared down the street. I sat there for maybe 30 seconds. Then I got up and walked to the bedroom. The duffel bag was in the closet. I pulled it out and started packing. Clothes first, enough for a week, maybe 2. Toiletries, charger cables, the watch my grandfather left me, documents from the filing cabinet, lease agreement, bank statements, anything with my name on it. My phone buzzed. Text from Dylan, my coworker, and probably the closest thing I had to a best friend anymore. "Still on for Saturday?" I called him instead of texting back. "Change of plans," I said when he picked up. "You still have that spare room?" "Yeah, why?" "I need it. Tonight." There was a pause. Dylan knew better than to ask stupid questions. Doors open. "You good?" "Getting there." I hung up and kept packing. Laptop. The signed baseball from when I was 12. That jacket I actually liked. Everything that mattered, everything that was genuinely mine, it all fit in 2 bags. The apartment was a rental. Both our names on the lease, but month to month. I'd cover my half through the end of next month, then I was out. Clean. Simple. I checked the time. Almost 1 in the morning. She'd be back soon, expecting to find me waiting like a student called to the principal's office. I found a notepad in the kitchen drawer. Wrote 4 sentences. Left it on the table where she'd see it first thing. Grabbed my bags. Took one last look around. This place never truly felt like home anyway. Just somewhere I existed while she built a life around expectations I'd never agreed to. Keys went on the counter next to the note. Phone buzzed again, her name on the screen. I ignored it. The door locked behind me with a quiet click. My truck was parked on the street. I threw the bags in the bed, climbed in, and started the engine. It turned over on the second try, same as always. Nothing fancy, but it ran. Dylan's place was 20 minutes across town. I took the long way, windows down, radio off. Just the sound of the engine and the empty streets. She wanted improvements, wanted ambition, wanted me to fit whatever mold her friends had decided was acceptable. What she'd get instead was an empty apartment and a note that said exactly what I meant. Decided not to take the chance. No anger, no threats, no drama, just done. I pulled into Dylan's driveway at 1:45. Lights were on inside. He opened the door before I even knocked, took one look at my face, and stepped aside. "Beer's in the fridge," he said. "We'll talk tomorrow." I nodded, dropped my bags in the spare room, sat on the edge of the bed. My phone was blowing up now. 7 missed calls, 12 texts, each one angrier than the last, progressing from confusion to outrage. I turned it off. Tomorrow, I'd deal with logistics. Tonight, I'd sleep better than I had in months. Because for the first time in a long time, nobody was keeping score. I woke up to sunlight coming through unfamiliar blinds. For a second, I forgot where I was. Then it came back, Dylan's spare room, the bags on the floor, The decision I'd made 6 hours ago. My phone was still off. I left it that way. Dylan was in the kitchen when I came out, coffee already brewing. He slid a mug across the counter without a word. That's what I appreciated about him. No immediate interrogation, no forced sympathy. Just coffee and silence until I was ready. So, he finally said, leaning against the counter. Want to talk about it? She gave me an ultimatum. I left instead. He nodded slowly. You need the room for a while? If that works. I'll cover rent, help with groceries, whatever you need. Don't worry about it yet. Just get your head straight first. I took a drink. The coffee was terrible, but it was exactly what I needed. I should probably turn my phone back on. Probably. Dylan's expression said he knew what was waiting for me. I pressed the power button. The screen lit up. Notifications started flooding in immediately. 43 missed calls. 67 text messages. 3 voicemails. The most recent text was from 2 hours ago. Where are you? This isn't funny anymore. Come home right now. The one before that. You can't just disappear like this. We're supposed to be partners. And before that. I'm calling the police if you don't answer. I scrolled back further, watching the progression. The first messages were confused. Where did you go? And did something happen? Then they turned demanding. Then angry. Then desperate. The voicemails were more of the same. Her voice getting progressively louder, more frantic. I deleted them all without listening past the first 10 seconds. Then I typed one message. You wanted improvements. I improved my situation. We're done. I'll handle my half of rent through next month, then I'm off the lease. Don't contact me again. Sent. Dylan watched me over his coffee mug. Clean break. Only kind worth doing. My phone started ringing immediately. Her name on the screen. I declined the call. It rang again. Declined. Third time, I blocked the number. She's going to show up here eventually, Dylan said. She doesn't know where you live. She'll find out. He was probably right. But that was a problem for later. Right now, I needed to handle the practical stuff. Bank accounts, mail forwarding, making sure she couldn't access anything that mattered. I spent the morning on my laptop at Dylan's kitchen table. Changed passwords. Set up mail forwarding to Dylan's address. Called the landlord and explained I'd be vacating at the end of next month. Asked to be removed from the lease renewal. The landlord, a guy named Mr. Oliver, didn't ask questions. Happens all the time, he said. I'll draw up the paperwork. You'll need to settle any outstanding utilities. I'll have a check by Friday. That works. Around noon, Dylan's phone rang. He looked at the screen and then at me. It's a number I don't recognize. Don't answer it. He let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, he played it on speaker. Her voice came through, trying to sound calm but cracking at the edges. Dylan, this is Lucy. I know he's probably with you. Can you please just have him call me? We need to talk. This is insane. Dylan deleted it. You want lunch? Yeah. We went to a diner a few blocks away. Nothing fancy. Burgers and fries, coffee refills, a waitress who didn't care if we sat there for 2 hours. Dylan talked about work, about his truck needing new brakes, about anything except what was happening. I appreciated that more than he probably knew. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Different number. I let it ring out. Then another number. Then another. She's using her friend's phones. I said. Committed. Desperate. By the time we got back to Dylan's place, there were 16 missed calls from different numbers. I blocked every single one. That evening, I was in the spare room unpacking when Dylan knocked on the doorframe. You've got a visitor. My chest tightened. She found the place. Her mom, actually. That was somehow worse. Her mother, Grace, had always been decent to me. Not warm exactly, but fair. This was going to be uncomfortable. I walked out to the living room. Grace was standing by the door, hands clasped in front of her, looking exactly like someone who'd been drafted into a conflict she wanted no part of. Can we talk? She asked. Just 5 minutes. Dylan disappeared into his room, giving us space. 5 minutes, I said. Grace sat on the edge of the couch. She's devastated. She hasn't stopped crying since she found your note. I'm sure. She says she didn't mean it. The ultimatum. She was just frustrated. She meant it. And even if she didn't, that doesn't change anything. Grace studied my face. You're not even willing to talk to her. There's nothing to talk about. She laid out her terms. I chose not to accept them. That's the end of it. You've been together for 3 years. And for 3 years, I've been measured against every other man she knows. Every friend's husband, every co-worker's boyfriend. I was never enough, Grace. Last night just made it official. She didn't have an immediate response to that. After a moment, she said quietly, "What do you want me to tell her?" "Tell her to move on." "I am." Grace stood up slowly, like she was carrying something heavy. "I think you're making a mistake." "Maybe, but it's my mistake to make." She left without another word. I watched through the window as she got in her car and sat there for a minute before driving away. Dylan came back out. That looked fun. Her mom's trying to fix it. Can't fix what's already broken. Exactly. That night, lying in Dylan's spare bed, I thought about the note I'd left. For sentences. No explanation, no justification. Just a decision. She'd wanted me to change. To become someone different. Someone more ambitious, more impressive, more aligned with whatever vision she and her friends had constructed. Instead, I'd chosen to leave. No arguments, no counseling sessions, no months of trying and failing to meet impossible standards. Just a clean exit. My phone was quiet now. Either she'd run out of numbers to call from, or she'd finally accepted that I wasn't coming back. I hoped it was the latter, but I suspected it was just the former. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But tonight, I slept. 3 days passed. I went to work, came back to Dylan's place, handled the logistics of separating a life I'd shared with someone for 3 years. It was surprisingly simple when you didn't fight about every detail. Friday afternoon, I was finishing my shift when my supervisor, Wayne, called me into his office. He was a straightforward guy, retired military, didn't waste time on small talk. "You've got a personal situation?" he asked, gesturing for me to sit. "Getting out of a relationship." "What?" "Because someone called here yesterday asking about your schedule. Said she was your fiancée." I felt my jaw tighten. We were never engaged. And she's got no business calling my work. Wayne nodded. "That's what I figured. I told her we don't give out employee information. Just wanted you to know. Thanks for the heads up. You need time off to handle anything?" "No. Work's the easy part right now." He grunted in understanding. "All right. Let me know if that changes." I left his office and checked my phone. 2 new emails, both from her. I deleted them without reading. Whatever she had to say could stay unsaid. That evening, I was at Dylan's place when my own phone rang, a number I recognized. Justin, one of the few mutual friends we'd had. I answered. "Hey man," Justin said. "I heard what happened." "Let me guess. She called you." "She called everyone. Ruth, Quinn, London, even people you guys barely talked to. She's telling everyone you just vanished without explanation." I left a note. That's more explanation than she gave me before her ultimatum. Justin was quiet for a second. "Look, I'm not taking sides here, but she's making you sound like the bad guy. Says you abandoned her out of nowhere. She told me I wasn't good enough and gave me a list of improvements to make. I chose to leave instead. That's not abandonment. That's self-respect." "Fair enough. Just thought you should know what's being said." "I appreciate it." After we hung up, I sat there thinking. Of course she was spinning the story. She couldn't admit to her friends that her ultimatum had backfired. Easier to play victim than accept responsibility. My phone buzzed again. Text from Ruth, one of her closest friends. "You should be ashamed of yourself. She was trying to help you become better, and you threw it back in her face." I stared at the message. Started typing a response. Deleted it. Started again. Deleted that too. Finally settled on. She wanted someone different. I wasn't interested in becoming that person. Simple as that. Sent. Ruth replied immediately. "That's selfish." "Maybe, but it's honest." She didn't respond after that. Sunday morning, Dylan and I were getting breakfast at a small place near his apartment when I saw her. She was across the street with 2 of her friends, London and Quinn. They spotted me at the same moment I saw them. She started walking toward us. Her friends followed. "Here we go," Dylan muttered. They crossed the street. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back hastily. Her friends flanked her like bodyguards. "We need to talk," she said, stopping a few feet from our table. "No, we don't. You owe me at least a conversation." "I don't owe you anything." I made my position clear. London stepped forward. "You can't just walk away from 3 years like it meant nothing." I looked at her. "I'm not the one who said it meant nothing." She did, when she told me I wasn't measuring up. "She was trying to motivate you," Quinn added. "That's what partners do. Partners don't issue ultimatums. They communicate." She didn't want communication. She wanted compliance. She finally spoke, her voice cracking slightly. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. I was frustrated. "We can work through this." "No, we can't. You've been frustrated for months." Maybe longer. You want someone more ambitious, more successful, more everything. That's not me. Go find whoever that is, but leave me out of it. So that's it. You're just done. I was done when you gave me my report card and told me to do better. I'm just following through. Her eyes filled with tears. London put an arm around her shoulders. Quinn glared at me like I was some kind of villain. You're being cruel, she said quietly. I'm being clear. There's a difference. Dylan stood up, dropping cash on the table. We should go. I followed him to his truck. Behind us, I heard Quinn say something harsh, but I didn't catch the words. Didn't need to. We drove back to his place in silence. Finally, Dylan said, her friends are going to make this ugly. They already are. You good with that? I'm good with the truth. If they want to twist it, that's on them. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. This is Grace. Her mother. I'm calling because she's not handling this well. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? Because from where I'm standing, you walked out without giving her a chance to fix things. She had 3 years to fix things. Instead, she spent that time cataloging everything I wasn't. Grace was quiet. Then, she told me what she said to you. The ultimatum. Then you know why I left. I do. Her voice softened. And honestly, I think she knows it too. She's just not ready to admit it. That's not my problem anymore, Grace. No, I suppose it isn't. She paused. For what it's worth, I don't think you're wrong. I think you're just done being wrong in her eyes. That's exactly what I am. Take care of yourself. She hung up. I sat there for a while, phone in hand. Grace understood. Justin understood. Even Dylan, who'd only heard my side, understood. The only people who didn't were the ones who'd helped create the problem in the first place. Her friends. The ones who'd spent months comparing me to every other man they knew, building expectations nobody could meet. Let them spin their stories. Let them paint me as the villain. I'd rather be the bad guy in someone else's narrative than lose myself trying to be the hero in theirs. I went to bed early that night. Tomorrow was Monday. Back to work, back to routine, back to building something that didn't require constant justification. And that felt like progress. 2 weeks in, I'd settled into a routine. Work during the day, helping Dylan with dinner at night, staying out of her orbit as much as possible. The apartment lease was sorted. I'd be officially off it by month's end. Bank accounts were already separated. It was all remarkably straightforward when one person actually wanted out and the other couldn't stop it. Tuesday evening, I got home from work to find Dylan standing in the driveway with his arms crossed. She came by today. What did she want? To talk to you. I told her you weren't here. She sat in her car for an hour waiting. Finally left around 4. Sorry you had to deal with that. Not your fault. Just be aware, she knows where you are now. I went inside and checked my phone. 3 texts, all from her. I know you're at Dylan's. We need to talk face to face. This is ridiculous. I'm not giving up on us. I didn't respond. What was there to say that I hadn't already said? An hour later, I was making dinner when my phone rang. Different number again. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. It's me. Her voice. Don't hang up. Please. I should have, but I didn't. What do you want? I want to apologize. Properly. Not through texts or voicemails. Can we meet somewhere? Just coffee. 30 minutes. No. Why not? Because there's nothing to discuss. You made your expectations clear. I made my choice. That's the end of it. It doesn't have to be. Her voice cracked. I made a mistake. I was listening to the wrong people. I should have valued what we had instead of comparing it to what everyone else has. You're right. You should have. So give me a chance to fix it. I gave you 3 years of chances. Every time you complained about my job, my ambitions, my social life. Those were chances for you to decide if you actually wanted to be with me or with some imaginary version of me. You chose the imaginary version. Silence on the other end. Then, that's not fair. It's accurate. I love you. The words hung there. 3 words that used to mean something. Now they just felt empty. If you loved me, I said quietly, you wouldn't have needed your friend's permission to see my value. I hung up before she could respond. Dylan appeared in the doorway. That sounded intense. She's trying a different approach. The apology route. You buying it. Doesn't matter if I buy it. Even if she means it, the damage is done. I can't spend the rest of my life wondering when the next ultimatum is coming. He nodded. Smart. The following week, I got a call from a lawyer's office. Not hers, a mediation service. The woman on the phone explained that my soon-to-be ex had requested mediation to discuss the separation terms. There's not much to discuss, I told her. No shared property, no kids, no joint debts. We had a rental. I'm already off the lease. She's indicated there are personal items she believes belong to her. Then she can have them. I took what was mine. Whatever's left in that apartment is hers. She's also requesting that you return certain gifts. I almost laughed. Gifts? Like what? A watch, apparently, and a leather jacket. The watch was from my grandfather. It's been in my family for 40 years. The jacket I bought with my own money. Tell her no. The mediator sighed. Would you be willing to meet with both of us to discuss this? I'll email you a list of everything I took. If she can prove any of it was purchased by her or given by her, I'll return it. Otherwise, this conversation is over. Understood. I'll pass that along. She hung up. I immediately sent the email, a detailed list of the 12 items I'd taken, including where each came from. The watch from my grandfather. The baseball signed by my Little League coach. Clothes I'd bought before I even met her. My laptop, purchased with my own paycheck. 2 days later, the mediator called back. She's dropped the property claims. However, she'd still like to meet with you. For what purpose? She says she wants closure. She has closure. I left. That's as closed as it gets. Sometimes people need to hear certain things directly. I've been direct. Multiple times. The answer is still no. I hung up and blocked that number too. Saturday, I was at the hardware store picking up supplies for some repairs at Dylan's place when I ran into London, one of her closest friends. She saw me and immediately changed direction to intercept. You know she's a mess because of you, London said without preamble. She's a mess because she gambled on an ultimatum and lost. She was trying to help you grow. She was trying to change me into someone else. There's a difference. You're so stubborn. You'd rather throw away 3 years than have one honest conversation. I've had nothing but honest conversations. She's the one who's been dishonest, pretending I was enough while constantly measuring me against everyone else. London shook her head. You'll regret this. Maybe, but I'll regret it as myself, not as whoever she wanted me to be. I walked away before she could respond. Paid for my supplies. Drove back to Dylan's. That evening, sitting on his back porch with a beer, I thought about regret. Would I regret leaving? Probably, in some ways. 3 years wasn't nothing. There were good memories buried under all the criticism and comparison. But I'd regret staying more. I'd regret spending the next 10 years trying to measure up to arbitrary standards set by people who didn't even know me. I'd regret losing myself trying to find approval that was never really available. Dylan came out and sat down next to me. Quinn called my phone earlier. Her friend. Yeah. Wanted to know if I could talk some sense into you. What did you tell her? That you're the most sensible you've been in months. I smiled. Thanks. She didn't like that answer. I'm sure she didn't. We sat in silence for a while. Then Dylan said, you know what the crazy thing is? If she'd just said, I appreciate you once in a while, none of this would have happened. Yeah, I said. But she didn't. And here we are. My phone buzzed. Another text from another unknown number. I didn't even open it. Just deleted it and put the phone face down on the table. Tomorrow I'd deal with whatever came next. Tonight, I was exactly where I needed to be, away from someone who couldn't see my value, working on building a life that didn't require constant defense. That felt like winning. A month after I left, the separation was almost complete. Final rent payment sent, utilities transferred, mail forwarding confirmed. Dylan had offered to let me stay as long as I needed, but I'd started looking at places of my own. Not apartments, something different. Maybe a small house share, maybe a room above someone's garage. Something temporary while I figured out what came next. Work had become my anchor. Wayne had noticed I was staying late more often, taking on extra projects. One afternoon, he called me into his office again. You doing okay? He asked. Getting there. Good. Because your work's been solid lately. Better than solid, actually. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. Just focusing on what I can control. He nodded. Smart approach. I left his office feeling something I hadn't felt in a while. Pride in what I was doing, not shame for what I wasn't. That evening, I got a call from Justin again. Man, you need to hear this, he said. I was at Ruth's birthday thing last night. Your ex showed up. Okay. She got drunk. Started telling everyone how you were the one who gave up. How she tried everything to save the relationship. Let me guess. Everyone believed her. Some did. But Quinn's boyfriend pulled me aside later. Said he's been hearing this story for weeks and none of it adds up. Said Quinn mentioned the ultimatum once, and it sounded way worse than how she's spinning it now. What did you tell him? The truth. That she gave you a list of improvements and you walked instead. How'd he take it? Said it made more sense. Said he'd probably do the same thing. I felt something loosen in my chest. Thanks for telling me. Yeah, well, just thought you should know not everyone's buying her version. After we hung up, I sat there thinking. She was rewriting history, making herself the victim. But the truth had a way of leaking out, especially when you told multiple versions of the same story. Friday night, I was at a bar with Dylan and a couple of his friends when she walked in. I saw her before she saw me. She was with London and another woman I didn't recognize. We can leave, Dylan said quietly. No, I'm not running from public places because she might be there. She spotted me a few minutes later. I watched her face change, surprise, then determination. She said something to her friends and started walking toward our table. This should be interesting, Dylan muttered. She stopped a few feet away. Can we talk? Outside. We can talk right here. Her jaw tightened. Fine. I wanted to tell you that I've been seeing someone. The statement hung there. She was waiting for a reaction. Jealousy, anger, something. I felt nothing but mild curiosity about why she thought I'd care. Good for you, I said. That wasn't what she expected. That's it. That's all you have to say. What do you want me to say? You're single. You can see whoever you want. It doesn't bother you at all. Why would it? We're done. You moving on is kind of the point. London appeared at her shoulder. You're unbelievable. She's trying to show you what you're missing and you don't even care. I already know what I'm missing. I'm okay with it. She stared at me, eyes starting to well up. You never loved me. If you did, this would hurt you. I loved who I thought you were. Turns out I was wrong about that. But me walking away doesn't mean I didn't care. It means I cared enough about myself to leave when it became clear I'd never be enough for you. That's not fair. You told me to improve. I did. I improved my situation by leaving. You got exactly what you asked for. She turned and walked out. London glared at me before following. The woman I didn't recognize stayed for a moment, looking between me and the door, then shook her head and left too. Dylan let out a low whistle. Cold. Honest. Same thing sometimes. The next week brought an unexpected development. Grace called again. I'm calling to apologize, she said. For what? For trying to fix something that was already broken. I talked to her this weekend. Really talked, not just listened to her version. She finally admitted what she said to you that night. And I told her she was an idiot. That she had a decent man who treated her well, and she destroyed it because her friends made her feel like decent wasn't enough. I appreciate you saying that. She's struggling, but that's not your problem anymore. I just wanted you to know that I understand now why you left. And I don't blame you. Thank you, Grace. That means something. Take care of yourself. She hung up. I sat there for a moment, phone in hand. Grace's words mattered more than I wanted to admit. Validation from someone who'd seen both sides, who had no reason to take mine. That Saturday, I signed a lease on a small house I'd be sharing with a guy named Weston who worked nights at a warehouse. Different shifts meant we'd barely see each other, which suited us both. It wasn't fancy, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, kitchen barely big enough for 2 people. But it was mine in a way the apartment never had been. Dylan helped me move my stuff over. It didn't take long, still just the 2 bags and a few things I'd accumulated over the past month. You going to be okay here? Dylan asked. Yeah, time to stop camping out in your spare room. Wasn't camping, but I get it. We ordered food, sat on my new floor since I didn't have furniture yet, and talked about nothing important. It felt normal, like I was building something instead of running from something. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. I heard you moved. Good for you. Hope you're happy. Her, obviously. Using yet another number I hadn't blocked. I typed back. I'm getting there. Hope you do too. And I meant it. Not because I wanted to reconcile, or because I still cared in that way, but because holding on to anger would just mean she still had power over my life. She'd made her choice when she issued that ultimatum. I'd made mine when I walked out. Now we both had to live with them. I deleted the message, put my phone down, and finished my food. Tomorrow I'd buy furniture. Start making this place feel like home. Keep building this life that didn't require constant justification. But tonight, sitting on the floor with Dylan, eating cheap food and talking about nothing, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Content. 3 months later, I was leaving a training seminar downtown when I saw her. Not planned, not avoided, Just one of those moments that happens in a city where paths occasionally cross. She was coming out of a restaurant with someone, presumably the guy she'd mentioned. He looked fine. Ordinary. She looked different too. Thinner, maybe. Tired. Our eyes met. She hesitated, then walked over. He stayed back, giving her space. Hey, she said. Hey. You look good. Thanks. You too. Silence. Then, are you happy? I thought about the question. About the small house I shared with Weston. About work, where I'd gotten more responsibilities without asking for them. About Dylan and Justin and the life I'd built that didn't require anyone's approval. I'm not being tested anymore, I said. That's enough. She nodded slowly, like she understood something she hadn't before. I was wrong. About all of it. I know that doesn't change anything, but I wanted you to know. I appreciate that. Take care of yourself. You too. She walked back to her date. They left together. I stood there for a moment, then headed to my truck. No anger. No regret. No wondering what if. She'd wanted me to change. I had, just not in the way she expected. I'd changed into someone who knew when to walk away. Someone who understood that being enough for yourself matters more than being enough for someone who'll never see it. I drove home, made dinner, called Dylan to confirm our plans for the weekend. And when I went to bed that night, I slept soundly, because I'd made the right choice. Not the easy one, not the one everyone understood, but the one that let me wake up as myself instead of someone else's project. And that was all the improvement I needed.